Namaste. So I mentioned the personal world versus the social world. So I want to give you an example of a personal world, my own. My life has uh, been almost entirely inwardly focused, even though I've been an entertainer and a dance instructor. So I've been out in the social world a lot. I've been a street performer for decades, and I've run businesses and various things of that nature. Never um, worldly successful businesses, but businesses that kept me alive and happy. The so because of the fact that my own personal world has led me to go deeper into my own body sensationally so that I can feel things that I don't think it's common for people to feel inside their body because I'm focused inward. Professional dancers, martial artists, yoga teachers, people like that. I would imagine um, people who have a very physically oriented experience of life understand what I'm talking about. The I know that this is not true for everyone. Most people, uh, I don't think, spend very much time i- investigating how, when you take a step, your balance moves forward over the roll of the foot, and they concentrate. I don't think everybody concentrates on what it feels like for the muscles to slowly peel off of the ground as you're taking a slow step forward, and the weight as it transfers from one foot to the next, and how the foot behind pushes the foot forward slightly as we propel ourselves forward. I don't think that this is common amongst the general populace, but it is the way that my world works. I've spent most of my life as a body worker of some sort. I started my entertainment career as a live mannequin in California, which I've since discovered was a five-way meditation. And I had to be very inwardly focused during that time, and I was like 13 or 15 or something of that nature. But I had to be very inwardly focused because when you're a live mannequin, you can't allow anyone to see your chest move while you breathe. Now, most of the time, I didn't wear full face makeup. I did have makeup that kind of followed my beard line a little bit, even when I didn't have a beard. It looked like a big tooth. and but So I had to be very conscious of making sure that my breathing was not visible from passerby. I had to be careful of my eyes because if your eyes shake or you blink or anything like that, then obviously you're not real. And I never wore sunglasses. I always figured that if you can't make someone think that you're fake dressed the way you are, then you're not doing anything special. And the entertainment was in watching the eyes primarily to see whether or not they blink or move their eyes. I had to be aware of my hands to make sure that they didn't wiggle or move or anything, because if they did, of course, that's another giveaway. I had to be careful of my balance so that I wasn't swaying back and forth on my feet. And I had to be aware of my tip jar. So that brought me out of myself a little bit because if I just focused on those first four things, then it's all completely inwardly focused. I can shut off my vision and basically go blind so that I'm just staring, a 1,000-yard stare or something like that. But because I had to be aware of my tip jar and thus the people around me, um, that drew me out of my interior focus. Later, I became a dance teacher. Oh, well, I skipped a step. I became a mime. And so I had to pay real close attention to how other people moved so that I could mimic them. And I became fascinated with um, just things like when someone walks with a limp, is that limp because of a physical abnormality in their body, an injury, or just affected? They're putting it on for some reason or another. It doesn't really hurt, but they're kind of used to limping, so they're going to keep limping, that kind of thing. And the reason why I had to focus so much on that kind of activity was so that I would be able to accurately portray them in my mime skits. Later, I became a dance instructor, a ballroom dance instructor. Oh, again, I'm jumping forward a little bit. At one point, I was a professional stripper. Yes, this is what an old stripper looks like, at least this old stripper. And I worked that job for a while, and concurrently with the other jobs that I've done, was doing at the time. So I was also a busker who was a stripper. And so I had to be very conscious of not, in that particular environment, I had a bunch of women, an audience full of women, looking to me for entertainment. And so I had to make sure I gave a good show. I was a showman back then. And so I would, plus working for tips. So I had to be conscious not only of the crowd, but also what is my body doing? How am I moving my body in such a way that's, can I move my body this way across my rib cage, and can I separate it right here so that I can move just that part of my body and not the hips too, or whatever. And so dance early on was a huge part of my life. Not just on stage, but also I would go out dancing every single night of the week, and I would go to a club, and I would close the club down. I didn't drink back then, or I smoked cigarettes, but I didn't partake in any drugs. And so I would go to a bar, and I would be the only sober person there by the end of the night. Not accurate, but you know what I mean. I think I would close down the bar because I just loved to dance. I would take 2 or 3 shirts because I would have to change them. That was during the times when I actually had shirts to change into. There were a few times where I didn't have anything but the clothes on my back. So going from there, when I was 21, I became a dance instructor, a ballroom dance instructor. So I went to Arthur Murray's, and I partook in their teacher training course. I started off couple dancing as a teacher trainee, and I knew from day one, after the first full day of training, I knew that this was going to be my life. Teaching dance was going to be what I was going to do for the majority of my life. And I did. I still teach dance occasionally, especially if you want a dance lesson, hey, let me know. And again, I had to be inwardly focused, because in order to teach couple dancing, what I first had to do is I had to learn for myself how to move my body in a certain set form, which was different from freestyle dancing, because freestyle dancing is just getting up and dancing to the music. Basically, we're taking the music and turning it into a visual sensation. I tell my students all the time, dance like you're wanting a deaf person to hear the music. And so learning how to couple dance, you have to focus inward. You have to pay attention to what's going on in your body. And the teacher is trained to teach you how to pay attention to aspects of your body. And this is very similar to Vipassana meditation. And so I mentioned in a previous video, I think, I've made a couple of videos that aren't going to be aired. I actually erased them after I made them. But if I go like this, I can feel all kinds of muscles moving all over my body here, all the way back down into here. I can feel the sliding of muscles moving back and forth, as I do that. And I've learned over the years through teaching dance how to describe what it is that I'm experiencing. Now, I don't know the medical names of any of the muscles, or very few of the muscles, but I can, since I can feel it, I can point to your muscles. I can touch your muscles, and I can say, here, touch your skin and say, here, right under here, there's a nerve ending, or a muscular knot or something. And if you have that intention, it will do this. Now, this is just minor. It's in the hands, but training and dance training, you also train your hands. Well, because of my philosophical bent and my spiritual interest, I've learned how couple dancing is very much like life itself. And I've been in a process of writing a book entitled God is a Ballroom Dancer, How to Live a Happy Life for some time now. One of these days, if I can get past my own procrastination, I will finish that book and everybody will get a chance to read it. But it's interesting how it's evolved since I started it. But the idea behind that is that I see, in my own personal little world, I see everything as though it is couple dancing. Everything. It's all dance. I also can envision it as though it's a kindergarten. It's a playground, a school playground. And I actually wrote a book about that entitled Life is Recess, the Games We Play. You can get it on Kindle if you're interested. And in that book, I describe how I see life as being a playground. This whole earth thing is just a playground. And there's all kinds of offshoots coming from that. But I'll let you read it in the book, or maybe I'll talk about it later if you're interested. If so, drop a comment. But because I look at everything as though it's dance, I'm talking about communication. I'm talking about if I reach for my water glass. It doesn't matter if I'm driving my RV or my motorcycle or whatever. It's all couple dancing. And they use the same rules. Whatever you're doing uses the same rules as couple dance. Couple dancing is so simple that the brain has to make a problem of it, and it makes it hard. And just as a little aside here, the hardest thing I tell people frequently, the hardest thing about couple dancing is the word, or the phrase, because it always comes with a mental concept, an idea of what it means, and that idea is always wrong. So a dance teacher's first job, in my opinion, is to break the other person's conception of what couple dancing is supposed to be, and then build a desire for them to learn what it is. And in any case, so when I look at a situation, any situation, even me talking to the camera right now, talking to you behind the camera on the other side, is, am I being a good leader? Can I lead lead this dance that we're on? Are you willing to follow? Are you willing to look at this 15 or 20 minutes of conversation, of sharing? If you are, then if you follow your own experience, and let's say that you can put your doubt aside for a minute, and you just follow along, and you say, oh, okay, well, this is what this guy's talking about, and give me the benefit of the doubt, kind of like you would when you're going to a movie theater or a movie, and you give a benefit of the doubt that, yeah, that guy can really fall from a 60-story building, land on the ground, and get up and walk without injury. Yeah, okay, I can see that. Doesn't matter. He's got superpowers, so what the heck. But if you give the benefit of the doubt when you're listening to somebody, if you don't get in the way and experience a whole lot of questions, if you just wait and hear what's being said, then they will lead you on a dance of their choosing. Once the dance is over, then you can say, "Oh wow, back when you did this, what was that all about?" And so the questions come after the you've been led through a conversation or a move, like what this video would translate to in couple dancing. Then you're able to enjoy the ride, enjoy the movement, enjoy the dance. And you recognize, I don't know about you, I'm trying to break myself of the habit of saying you when I actually mean me. I don't know what your life is like. I don't know how you see the world. All I know is how I see the world. And so in my little bubble, I love the fact that I just forgot what I was going to say. In my little bubble, it's more interesting to follow along. And I don't mean be a follow. I have a friend whose property, more or less, I'm staying. She's invited me to visit. Who thinks that I am non-confrontational, which is pretty much accurate, and that I don't. She asked me the other day, "Do you ever say no?" And so I kind of surprised her when I said yes. I never say, or there are times when I say no, but I don't find too many reasons to use that word. Most of the time, if I'm willing to follow where life is leading, where God is leading, it leads me. And if I do so with a wholesome heart, if I do so without resistance, then I'm led into some pretty fascinating experiences that I probably wouldn't have had otherwise. And because of the fact that I am just going along with life itself, life generally turns out pretty well. If you've followed my Facebook for any length of time, you know that I occasionally have financial difficulties. And, my bike might break down and I have to reach out and say, "Hey, could someone help out?" or something of that nature. But I'm okay with that because I found that the universe has no idea how to wrap presents, and it always wraps the best presents in the worst possible wrapping. Now, some of you who know me have heard that many times. It's a common phrase of mine, but it's also the way that I live, because having been homeless back when I was younger, when I first ran away from home, I was, just a quick headline version, I was abused quite a bit by my dad. My mom and dad separated. My brother abused me after that, but that's kind of what brothers do sometimes. And my stepdad used to put me down a lot. And I finally ran away from home, and I spent a number of years homeless and living on the streets and sleeping under bridges and whatnot. And I never was one to fly a sign or go up and, "Can you give me some money? Can you give me some money?" But although my mom talks about when I was a toddler and I'd see some kid at a laundry, or some adult at a laundromat eating cookies or something, I'd go up and say, "Can I have one?" And they'd give me one. But when I was young, I used to steal. I would shoplift and I would walk checks and things of that nature. in order to survive. That was before I learned how to do balloons. Once I learned how to do balloons, then twist balloons, then that supplied me with just enough money to get me through the day. And so I grew up with that. That's kind of been my modus operandi. It's like I don't worry too much about money, saving money and things of that nature. Um, I if I have enough money for today, then in I have pretty much I have faith that tomorrow will be okay too. Maybe it won't be. Maybe I'll regret that decision at some point. But right now, no, my life is okay that way. I do live on donations, so if you care to give, that would be appreciated. But and to recognize in that statement that any money that I receive, I pay it forward, not pay it back for the most part, unless of course I ask you specifically for a loan. But so this gives you just a little glimpse into my own personal world. There is so much more to it than that. So much more. And even if I am sitting still with my eyes closed in meditation, there is so much more to my personal world than what I could ever say. And the same thing is true for you. And the same thing is true for your friends and your enemies and every other human being on the planet. I have to believe that. I've never met anyone who did not have a personal world. And most people, I would think, I'm going out on a limb here because I haven't met most people, but most people, I think, would like to find someone who their personal world is so compatible with their own that it just fits together like a puzzle piece. Is that you? Are you that? Would you like to find someone whose personal world is so similar, or not necessarily similar, because I've seen total opposites attract like this. So they're making like a 3D puzzle instead of a 2D puzzle, but the pieces fit. There's something about that person. Okay, I see that I'm going on to getting close to 25 minutes, and I wanted to keep these videos around 15, so I'm going to let this go. Perhaps I'll continue more along that vein on the next video. Again, I'm just sharing these tidbits of information from my own personal perspective, coming out of my personal world. I don't know if they're true for you, but if they resonate, well, cool. If you can get something useful out of it that you can use in your own life, hey, that's fulfilling. Please let me know what you've learned, if anything. I enjoy feedback. That way I know that somebody's getting something out of this besides just me. I'm going to keep doing this because if nothing else, my grandkids might want to see it once I'm dead. But if any of this helps you, please feel free. Let me know. Anyway, I hope you have a fantastic day until I see you again. Namaste.